There's a saying that says frequency breeds severity, and utilize that in safety. Okay. And I'm not just talking ambulance safety, I'm talking about patient safety, your own personal safety. If you keep doing the same unsafe thing over and over again and you don't correct it, sooner or later you are going to have that severe or that sentinel event. And that was very, very true in our case. So here's an example of a crash that we had. This wasn't like at this time, wasn't the worst crash that we had. It wasn't the most minor, but still in all, an idea of the lack of safety culture in our organization. We were going en route to a vehicle crash with injuries. It was mid-morning. It had rained that morning. The roadway was wet. They were going emergent. We had 2 medics and a medic student on board. Roadway was wet, and Opticom activated. You guys know what preemption is? Probably not. It's how you can change the stop, the signal lights from red to green. Okay, there's an emitter on the emergency vehicle. It receives the signal, and then it sends a signal to the box to make your direction green and everybody else red. Okay. It was actually invented by 3M in Minnesota, and right now every signal in Minnesota has got Opticom. Okay. So if you've never been there, okay, and all of a sudden you're driving and you're at an intersection and you see this white light flashing or solid white light up on the post, you're like, what is that all about? Well, next thing you know, here comes either law enforcement, fire, or an ambulance. So it's a system designed to reduce intersection crashes because it provides you green in your direction and red all other directions inbound. So Opticom activated. This is the actual intersection right here. It was signal controlled, 40 miles an hour in all directions, pedestrian crosswalks. I'm going to use the pointer here if you can kind of, if you can still see the green dot. Yeah, okay. You know what? We did this last night and it worked out really well. I'll change the lights out. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, takes the glare out. Okay, so the ambulance is approaching this intersection. It's coming from this direction going up. So as he was approaching the intersection and he got into what I call the box of the intersection, there was a vehicle traveling this way and struck the driver's door of the ambulance. Once it was struck, that ambulance started doing 360-degree revolutions as it went down the roadway. When I got there and I took these photographs, this is what I saw. This is the direction of travel of the ambulance going from right to left. This is the engine compartment of the car that struck the ambulance, sitting right here. This gentleman is with the Minnesota State Patrol. They're doing a recon. This vehicle was actually just sitting here making a left turn to go this direction. As a matter of fact, this vehicle here was wanted to continue down this roadway. Interesting fact about this guy had just retired a week prior, got a job as a shuttle driver for the Chevrolet dealership. And when our other medics got on scene, they asked him how he was doing, and he says, yeah, he says, my seatbelt must have got me. He says, because I got all this really bad pain in my chest and my jaw right now. So pretty astute medic says, let's get you in and put you on an EKG. Guess what? He was a STEMI patient. Okay, so probably a good thing that it happened to him because it probably could have saved his life. So again, remember, this is the direction of travel of the ambulance. Going this direction right here. Down here is the other half of the car. So you can see it sitting right here. Few more state troopers doing the recon. I want you to pay attention to this vehicle right here. It's also part of the state trooper recon. And what you don't see here in this picture is where the ambulance is located. So here is where the ambulance ended up. And way up here is the initial impact in this intersection right here. and this vehicle ambulance did 360 degrees all the way down. The drivetrain broke right about like in here, and then it went backwards over the curb, through a fence, and hit a couple of Dodge Dakotas. I talked to a couple of the salesmen, and they heard the impact, and they watched this ambulance come down the road, and they said it would go this way. Thought it was flipping on its side, never did. Went the other direction, went this way like that, and went this way. And they were absolutely amazed that this did not flip over onto its side. Right here, you can see where the impact was right here into the side. This step well down here, maybe you remember the old E350 series. I used to put my foot down there, you know, I'm kind of tall, put my foot to rest. Bob DeRusha, one of our medics, 18 years with the company. That's where his foot was. And unfortunately, that was Bob's last day working as a medic. There were several surgeries just to save his foot. But once they were able to do that and they got enough pins in him, then he was able to walk after almost a year. So he went through a really a tough time. So I mentioned 40 miles an hour. Any idea what the speed of the vehicle was at the time of the crash? Our ambulance. Any guesses? State Patrol found that he was traveling plus or minus 2 miles an hour, 82 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone. So was he operating that ambulance with due regard? No, absolutely, positively not. And here's the other thing that the state trooper told me, is that he was playing chicken with the Opticom system. And I asked him, I said, how do you play chicken with the Opticom? I've never heard that before. And he said, well, in interviewing him, what he said is that, and we've seen this before, that you know you have an Opticom system, you have your emitter on top of the roof, it's actually in the light bar, and he's just waiting for that light to change. He's waiting for that white light to pop up, and he knows it's going to happen, okay, but he's waiting. But he's not going to slow down yet. So he's still cruising while the light is red, expecting it to turn green, okay? So he's playing chicken with it. That's what they call it, chicken. When he got to that intersection, literally to the crosswalk, it turned green. And that gal in the other car was still coming through, and she hit him, okay? So this whole crash was his fault, 100% all his fault. Okay, so that's just one of them that we had. And again, it was like, yeah, too bad for Bob, you know, great guy, you know, sorry it had to happen, you know, let's move on, we got other things to tackle. This was in the summer, and then we got what I call that Friday. And this was the Friday before the Labor Day. And I had just left my office and heading home, and I was about 5 minutes away, and I'm hearing a whole bunch of stuff on my radio. And then I heard that I'm getting called, and they said, you need to get to this intersection right here ASAP. So I turn around, literally it was about a 5-minute drive. And when I got here, there was a lot of commotion that was going on. St. Paul Fire and PD were here. And when I got here, I drove here and I parked kind of like right in this little lot right here. And then I got out of my vehicle and I walked over here by the fire hydrant right about here. And I looked down this direction, and this is what I saw. That happens to be a 12-year-old boy under the sheet. He was crossing the sidewalk on his bicycle. One of our ambulances came around the corner quite fast, struck him. He rolled up underneath the ambulance, and his head was run over by the outside dual wheel. Killed him instantly. That is his sister and his mother sitting on the curb right there. Shortly after this photograph was taken, these two cops got up and ran over to this area right here and tackled a man. And I remember standing with a couple people, and we thought that it was somebody that was a warrant, you know, somebody they were looking for maybe previously. It turned out it was the boy's father. He had just got home from work, and a neighbor told him that you need to go down to the intersection. These two guys saw his condition, and as fathers themselves, probably didn't want him to see that. Too horrible. I worked for the medical examiner for many years. When they took him away and they pulled that sheet back, it shook me to the core. These guys did a fantastic job. I don't think any parent should have ever had to see that. It was pretty horrific. So there we go. Frequency breeds severity. You did nothing, and now all of a sudden we just killed a 12-year-old. Okay. Our hospital system, large, very, very large. We have 4 hospitals, 7,000 employees. Because it was Memorial Day weekend, my legal team, my communications team, they're all gone. They went to their cabins in northern Minnesota. I couldn't get a hold of everybody. We had the media following our ambulances, asking people, what happened? What happened to that? Did you know who it was? We had to put a page out to let everybody know. Don't talk to the media. If you do, you're going to lose your job. Okay, you don't want to do that. We were in the media on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday. And fortunately, some of our people in legal and risk management and communications were watching TV, saw that, and knew to get a hold of me and check the voicemail. And we went from there. The outcome of it, you just killed a child. You didn't get sued. We got sued. Millions. We had to do CISD for all our staff. That went through for months. Some of them had to go through many different sessions of mental health therapy. The father of the medic that was driving came into my office and literally had a panic attack inside my office and broke down. Our guy was not charged in the incident, but we were still at fault. He did not want to be a medic anymore. He left. His partner, she decided she was going to leave too. You don't know what to do. I couldn't take a book out of my office and open it up and say, hey, we just killed a kid, Let's find out and go say, hey, we gotta have pre-plans. What do you do next? We didn't plan for that. Never even thought of it. It wasn't even on our radar screen. Long story short is that it was hard to recover from it. It's even hard for me still to talk about it. It still shakes me to the core that many years ago. But what happened was, from a standpoint of insurance, we got a non-renewal. We could not operate our ambulances anymore after a particular, I think it was at the first of the year. And so what do? I told the risk management, go find it, we need new insurance. Nobody wanted to touch us. Our loss history was so poor, nobody wanted to touch us. We couldn't get insurance. So my boss at the time told me to reach out to the insurance company, see if there's something that he could do for us. We needed to keep rolling ambulances. Got over 300 employees, got to keep them employed. He did meet with me, and nice gentleman. Matter of fact, he's still a friend of mine. Howard Handler, owned an insurance company, and he said that I don't want to kill your ambulance service, but I'm going to make a deal with you. You're going to have to put a device in your ambulances. It's called road safety. I had no idea what it was. I asked him what it was, and I thought, my God, that's not going to work here. Every medic and EMT is with the union, and it was Teamsters, by the way. They were tough, but it didn't matter. I had to do it. And he said, it's not just a matter of putting it in, you have to make it work. And he says, and what I mean by making it work is start reducing your crashes. So we did. We put it in. We did training just like this. And we went 18 months after we turned the tones on, not a single preventable crash. And yes, we got a renewal. We paid for it dearly, okay, in premiums, but we got the renewal. We got insurance, and it worked out quite well. And how I ended up getting the job that I have right now is that that insurance company and road safety heard about this. Well, road safety heard about it, and the insurance company put me on the road. Hey, you could go talk to this ambulance service and talk to this one. I'm like, well, I got my other job to do. And then I started doing it, and it worked out well. They said, yeah, you need to be a consultant. So they made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. So that's my story. Okay, and you know, it's one that it's still hard for me to talk about, but we learned from that. Okay, and learn from what we did. And I'm not trying to be, you know, the person that scares people. You know, we're all smart and we're intelligent. I'm just sharing my story so you have a good understanding. Okay, that I don't want this ever to happen here. I don't want it to happen to anybody. So the more that I share this story, I want people to start thinking about safety, you know, in their head.